I'm Rhea Storr. I'm a visual artist and filmmaker based in London. I make work about Black cultural representation often. My heritage is from the UK and also from the Bahamas. So often I'm making films to try and understand the world around me and use filmmaking as a way to gather the people around me that I want to engage with. Subjects of State, Labours of Love is a film about Caribbean community organisations and the way that they sustain themselves, because often it's very difficult for community associations to continue to sustain themselves. So I'm interested in asking, what is it that allows a community centre, such as the ones depicted in the film, to thrive?
I'm going to first say to Olivier, Bob and the committee of Sadaka, thank you for making this space so beautiful, downstairs, upstairs, and making us so welcome in this building. That's the first thing I want to say. And we're here to celebrate their contribution to this community. They've been very, very good at doing things, but sometimes in the unseen hours, when people don't even know what they're up to, these people are working diligently for our community to make sure that we're still here today, existing and thriving, and hopefully getting better and better over the years.
So first we go to Wolverhampton, to the Heritage Centre, and hear from community members from the 70s onwards who've been organising for Caribbean community in Wolverhampton. And then latterly we go to Sheffield and District African Caribbean Community Association, who are organising in the present day, and look at how the community has been able to have so many facets to continue to sustain itself, to engage a younger generation.
As I get older and I turn into a young man, you know, started work, I've never forgot my culture, the foundation, what was set from the Windrush generation, really. And I am who I am because of them, you know, so I give thanks, really.
So the commission started out with a lot of archive research into Wolverhampton City archives, because I knew that there had been historically many Caribbean community organisations in Wolverhampton. And through the archive research, I had initially intended the film to be focused on work in factories, in the manufacturing industry. And coincidentally, there's not a huge amount of archive imagery of people of colour working in factories, although there is some. And I happened upon an archival record in which Dr. Frank Reeves, had done a survey of community organisations in 81-82, and he asks the community, what is your organisation about? How do you organise? Very practical questions. How many people are there? And through that, I met Frank Reeves and his wife, Dr. Mel Chavan, who is in the film. And they led me to all the other people who are in the film, because often they're quite connected, and we were able to have a conversation together. So really it's just been through following what's important to me about the history of Caribbean organising in Wolverhampton. And then at the same time, in Sheffield, I was interested in the Sadaka because of the fact that they still continue to exist, and also because there's so many elements to the way that that organisation is run, that I think when you visit them, there are a lot of things that become visible that you might not necessarily know from the outside as someone who is sort of looking into the organisation.
In 2012, we were celebrating Jamaica independence, and the council knocked the building down. So then we decided that if we are going to achieve anything here, we then need to put our hands in our pockets. So we then go out to the community and we said, listen, this building needs to be cleaned up, it needs to be painted, it needs to be, the car park needs to be weeded and everything. And everyone just came in.
The work is broadly about space and the importance of space in being able to facilitate a community to experience their culture together and to have a sense of belonging and a sense of safety and a sense that they have somewhere where they can go that's sort of like a sanctuary to them, which many people echoed to me throughout the course of making the film. At the same time, I'm aware that the reason that these spaces exist are because people have given their time that's not been properly compensated or well funded or really accounted for, and that's something that I wanted to address in the work, that they are labours of love, but those labours of love come at a price.
So when our boys get excluded from school, it's because that's the way the education system's designed. When men who look like me are dying or catching prostate cancer and are dying from it, 4 times the rate than any other ethnic group, it's because that's how it's designed. When black women are dying 5 times the rate in childbirth in this country, it's how the system's designed.
Because the film is thinking about quite a large span of time and what's happened in the past and what might happen in the future, I'm interested in what 16mm film can say. A lot of newsreel footage from the 80s, for example, is shot on 16mm because it was, believe it or not, the easiest, most portable medium to use at the time. And I'm interested in that reference, but also when the film is in the present day, that it might take the footage outside of its time. And so by prompting someone who's watching to think, well, when was this shot? Is this archive, is it not? I think that 16mm can sort of prompt more questions in the viewer to think about time. Only having a limited amount of film and thinking in time is really crucial to the way that I work, and I think it structures the way that I approach the subjects in the film as well. So knowing that we have a block of 10 minutes of film to talk, for instance, really structures what I say to them, how we talk with each other, by letting them know that there's only a certain amount of film. They decide what's important for them to tell me. And that's the approach that I also take to making the film as well. What's valuable, what's important to me, given this limited amount of time that we have to make the work. So it's almost like editing before you've even shot the film.
You walk in here, you automatically feel at home.
Yeah, nostalgia.
Yeah, I think you can't buy that.
I would like people to think about the function of community spaces. If I had an infinite amount of time, then I could have made 10 films. There's so much that's left out, and there's so many different issues that surround why those spaces exist. But I think for me, the most important thing is for people to know that what was happening 40, 50 years ago is still happening to some extent now, and spaces are so much more than their physical material presence. So it's important to understand what that presence is doing, but then B, how it's working beyond itself. So I'd like people to understand the work and the labour that's gone into those spaces, but also question why they are the way that they are.